welcome to the Unarmored Talk podcast. I am your host, Mario P. Fields. I have an amazing guest who is willing to remove his armor and have some discussions to help folks. And it's not just a guest. I look at him as a friend and family member. We served together in some, let's say, fun times. BLT, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. You guys know that the flag has rolled up. If you're a civilian, it's an infantry battalion. That no longer exists. Taylor Vogel, United States Marine Corps veteran, a war hero, and my friend. He kept me safe as a young first sergeant. What's up, man?
Hey Mario, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. So great. Yeah. And to see you again. It's just like I said before, I have images of you on the PT table just commanding the troops and telling stories and all these things and just going nuts. I love it. It's so good to be here on the flip side. What are we 10, that was 2008, 2009. So almost 20 years later.
I, man, it doesn't hit me how fast time flies until someone says this. I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
And it has, but you look good. You look good, man. You,
Likewise.
you look real good. Well, can you tell listeners and viewers just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So, born and raised in a small little New England town up in Vermont. Um, Mom's side of the family was, the spoon had a place, the fork had a place, very proper, knew how to speak, were educated, Dartmouth, Seton Hall, just good schools. And then dad's side of the family was just bikers, bars, and cars. Just completely different dynamic. Dad was a traveling businessman. Everybody in my family were entrepreneurs. Spirit Hill Farms, Backroads Granola. Everybody was either in business, Uniroyal, IBM, or they
Mm.
started their own business. So it was a dynamic upbringing. Dad was always on the move. He was always on the road selling in business. So he wasn't around much. I was basically raised by a single mom. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I like that bikers, bars, and cars. That's
Yeah.
my entrepreneur spirit. That's a good slogan. Well, everyone, you know the deal. We're going to jump right into the topic. You heard what I started this episode off with three kind of frameworks. My basic understanding, Taylor, is that you had a period in life where your faith in God and the Bible was absent, and then things happened, and then you started to experience life when your mindset changed. Let's talk about the first part. How was life before you found faith?
Yeah. So super confusing, right?
Mm.
So growing up in that kind of dynamic that I explained in the beginning, we were what you would call Creaster Christians, right? Easter and Christmas, right? We'd go to church, and even then that was spotty, like that didn't happen hardly, right? So
Wait a minute, can you say that one more time? I never
yeah,
heard that.
Creaster Christians, Easter and Christmas, right? So we
Wow.
just that was the services that we attended, if we
Hmm.
attended any, right? So I had a little bit of an understanding, but it wasn't like, real big presence in our home, right? There was no relationship with God and with Jesus, and
Right.
so I was lost, confused, insecure. Was bullied in school. I played full contact sports, and I was just lost and confused. A lot of my pivotal years of growing up as a teenager. I've barely finished high school. Was running with the wrong crowd. I was doing all the wrong things,
Mm.
and was the only one in my family who had not gone to college. And of course, being lost with no clear roadmap or clear book to follow, I did the proverbial, I'm going to take a couple years off to find myself.
Mm.
And then I quickly found myself, going pretty much right into the Marine Corps after that. I took a couple years off. I was running with the wrong crowd, living in complete sin, right?
Mm.
Social behaviors were off. The way I treated people was off. I was off to myself. I had no higher power. I had no roadmap, no guidelines. So then I was like, well, finally, I was like, I guess I'll go to college and I'll study business like everybody else in my family. And so I joined school, and I was in my third semester, and we had, we were about a year to 2 years into the invasion of Iraq. And I was in school and I was watching some of my classmates leave, and they would join the effort and they weren't coming back, or they were coming back different, right?
Hmm.
Limbs missing, they were shot up. I had kids that I grew up with in my hometown that joined, never went to college, and they were killed in Baghdad. And I just saw a lot what was going on, and I'm like, here I am, this lost college kid running with the wrong crowd, no faith, no spirituality, no relationship with anything but myself and what I wanted to do. I need a quick out. So I walked into the recruiter's office, and I went down. That's a whole story. I walked into the strip mall, and it was like the Army recruiter, Navy recruiter, Air Force recruiter, Coast Guard recruiter, then the Marine Corps recruiter. I walked in, one was eating a cheeseburger. I was like, oh, no. One I walked in, one was missing, didn't know
Who
where
was
he
he,
was.
who was eating a cheeseburger?
The first office I walked in was the Army. The next one walked in, they were nowhere to be found. It was just like going, and then I walked into the Marine Corps
Yeah.
recruiter's office, and there he was at his desk. And as soon as I walked in, he popped up and he had on this crisp uniform, this big stack of ribbons. Dude, there were swords and K bars hanging up, and I was like, this is it. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. And anyway, long story short, 14 days later, I was gone.
Mm.
Paris Island, South Carolina.
Wow. Wow.
2006, early 2006.
Wow. And just your initial journey of, being aware, all right, there's got to be a greater purpose there. And even when you're seeing, and my heart goes out and my prayers go out to the families who did lose, service members from your town, or those who are still battling with those hidden injuries of amputated leg or whatever. But here you are, you see the results of combat, and you go, I'm still going to go. Still going to serve and protect our nation's most precious jewel called freedom, which I believe. It,
Yeah.
but now let's kind of speed up a little bit. And I've seen you, everyone. I've personally seen Taylor, one of the best. I've seen a lot of Marines and sailors and folks in my 8,000 years of serving, but I will never forget him. It, but what was a major turning point that made you say, okay, if I continue down this path, I'm not going to be on this earth much longer?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously being in the infantry and then going on the three deployments, it was there was actually several.
Hmm.
But there was one pivotal one, right?
Yeah.
So I come from when I look back at everything, I came from a long line of self-induced trauma, right? So um when just to back up a little bit, when I was 16 years old, I had a brand new car that my father had bought me. My father came home on the weekend. I had wrecked the car, and he had a heart attack. He and I were getting into it at the dinner table, and he died right in front of me at 16
Oh,
years old of a heart attack. So
oh.
from that moment on, it was just, reckless, right? And then, finish school, go to college, drop out, join the Marine Corps. It was like all this wreckage, all this stuff. Go through the deployments, with the three deployments with 3-8, and I come back and I'm different, right?
Hmm.
So I'm different. I'm even more lost and confused than I ever was.
Mm.
During that time in the Marine Corps, it was a 10 years, a decade stint that I had. I had married young, Lance Corporal, got married, started a family. It was like, this next deployment, I might not come back. So I'm going to go ahead and procreate, hope it's a boy. And, back then everything was hope. I hope it happens. I hope it happens.
Hmm.
Now it's blessings and prayers, right? So
Right. Amen.
yeah, I you know, made a family, started a young family, and I came back and I came back different. And I had no real guidance, right? Like nobody in my pocket telling me, hey, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do
Right.
that. The Marine Corps was kind of my vehicle. And naturally I turned to the bottle, and I drank
Yeah.
to cover up a lot of feelings and things that I was going through and mask those things and fill those voids. So it was like drive fast, do fast things, whatever I could do to fill that void inside of me for what I was feeling, what I was going on. And, I ended up finding myself in a really unique situation, which to a lot of us veterans is not unique, but I felt so lost, like
Mm.
homicidal, suicidal, like nowhere to turn. And I felt like I was all alone and I was
Right.
angry. I was like, there's no brotherhood. Where's the brotherhood? I've been abandoned. They've left me. They don't know what to do with me. There's all these things. And what really started my walk and my journey was February 27th of 2011. The vehicle I was riding in Afghanistan, we were going out to do SNAP VCPs. I was a forward observer, so my objective when we got to our point, the objective was to climb the closest mountain and provide overwatch for the SNAP VCP while we shook down, roadblock.
Hmm.
Well, I was in the third Vic. Vic never made it. Took a direct blast to the truck. Had a TBI. Took about a year or so to recover. Got back on full duty, and it was just a tumultuous, sequence of events. And
Hmm.
I just never really got right after that, and I just self-medicated, kept self-medicating. But that day, getting the TBI and hitting the blast is what really showed me, like, okay, how am I still here? How did I make it through 100-pound IED direct hit to my vehicle? Everybody lived. How does that happen? There has to be something bigger here. And like I said, there was a lot of events that were like that. Like, there's got to be something bigger than me here because there's no way I just made it through that, right? Um, and I lived life on the edge, and I lived crazy, and I came back and I was doing all those things, and I was starting to believe. I was starting to read the Bible. I was starting to
Hmm.
go to church. I was starting to listen to certain people, but I was doing it my way. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, which is almost even worse, right, than going all the way in or staying all the way out. It was like I wanted to believe when I wanted to believe. I
Hmm.
wanted to sin when I wanted to sin. It was like, here, Jesus, I'll give you this little piece, but I'm gonna keep this little piece over here, and I'm gonna
Right.
I'm gonna do these things, and I'm gonna act this way, and I'm gonna live in sin. And that led to a separation, you know.
Hmm.
And I found myself in going through a separation and what was to be a divorce and a custody battle with my ex-wife and the kids, and was about to lose everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember February 27th of 2011. And
Mhm.
as the first sergeant getting the SIG acts, for civilians, if you're listening to this, this is it's a called a significant action if there's a bomb or a firefight and you may have some wounded in action or other things of that nature. So I personally remember that day, and I'm glad you all you know did survive. And everyone, you hear TBI is brutal.
Mhm.
That's brutal. Or it rearranges your brain. And not only that, I mean, you guys heard Taylor talk about even the traumatic, unexpected death of his father. And now you're 1 foot in, you're 1 foot out. I like how you were talking about like a part-time Christian.
Yeah.
God will give you 9 days a month, but
Yeah.
but looking back now, because I know you're a full time now. You're a full
Yeah.
time believer. I know that you and I have had a chance to talk a few times. As you look back when you were lost, and then you kind of had that moment on February 27th, 2011. Some other things happened post blast, but now
Yep.
you're full time. What do you see as the fundamental change about you spiritually, mentally? What have you noticed?
Man, life is so much easier
Mm,
when you're walking in faith and you're walking it with the Prince of Peace, Jesus. I mean, life is so much more simple when you're not living in
I
sin.
think so.
Life is so simple. Like, okay, life still happens,
You're right.
right? I still struggle. I still struggle with
Hmm.
post-traumatic stress. I still struggle with my traumatic brain injury. My processing center is off. I still struggle with, friends passing away or family members, that life still happens. Debt comes in, bills got to be paid, but before I used to wake up in the morning and go, oh, God, I got to go do this, or I got to pay this bill, or I got to go see this person, and and now I wake up and my feet hit the floor and I'm like, I get to take mom to a doctor's appointment. I get to see my kids. I get to pay that bill. I get to wake up early. I get another day. Like, I don't just waller in self-pity. There's that worship song out there where it's like, why would I lay in a bed of shame when there's a fountain of grace pouring over me?
Mm,
And it's like, I never saw that. until I had a relationship with God and with Jesus. Like it didn't make sense to me. Everything was about me. I was my higher power. Alcohol was my higher power. Whatever I could do to benefit Taylor is all that mattered. So yeah, it's just life is so much better. So, and you know, I lost everything because of the way I was living my life. And what I want a lot of the people listening to this episode here to realize is there's a lot of veterans out there that are struggling. And
Hmm.
I suffered in silence, you know, and I suffered and I'm not going to sit here and say that Jesus is the way for everybody and God is the way and you got to go that route and become a Christian or find a faith. Like I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's what worked for me.
Hmm.
Getting sober, putting down the bottle, putting down the sin, and that's what worked for me. But know that you guys are not alone and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There was a point in my life where I was like, I'm so low, a mosquito won't even bite me. You know what I mean? And that's the way I felt. And I was like, if you're going to talk about,
What you say to Taylor said, man, I mean, I'm short. I'm lower than Mario. I mean, Mario's like 4 foot nothing. And I'm so low. Mosquitoes like, nah, I'm good. Mm.
yeah, we feel that way sometimes as veterans. We feel so lost and we feel so wrapped up. Like, I should have tried harder to put that bandage on, or I should have moved faster to put that tourniquet on, or
Right.
I should have put this, I should have had my sucking chest wound package ready, right? I should have. No, we were the most highly trained individuals in the world besides tier one operators, right? Infantry Marines are the most highly trained. And when we run into a situation and we think we failed, we really didn't because we gave it our absolute best.
Hmm.
But what people have to understand is that like there's help out there and there's so many people that care. You don't have to suffer in silence. You can do this thing and get out to the other side. I mean I'm telling you, it's homicidal, suicidal. I did not want to live. And
Yeah.
now I can't wait for the next hour, the next minute, the next day. It got better. And like I said, I lost everything, but I got everything back tenfold. The promises do come true when I stopped living in sin and I started correcting my I'm huge on habits, mindset, and skill set, right?
Hmm.
And if you focus on those three areas of your life, you can be unstoppable. And everything became real. Everything became I got my feelings back. I started having feelings and I started caring for others. I started doing for others.
Right.
And it just it I got it all back. I got it back tenfold. I have you know a new marriage, a bigger family. You know this is how you know God has a sense of humor, right? Only child, single mom, broken household, up in New England, small family. I'm now married to a woman. She's a Bama Belle. Ask me how that down south in New England. Ask me how that happens. I don't know, but she's got four kids and I've got three. We are a household of nine. I've got one kid in college, three in high school, two in middle school, and one in elementary school. He said I'm gonna make this fun for you, and I
Yeah.
got it all back tenfold. I lost a house, I got a better house. I lost a vehicle, I got a better vehicle. I lost all these things, and I was at rock bottom.
Hmm.
I will never get anything back. I'm done. It's over. I lost everything. I'm living out of bags, totes, and I'm living out of my truck,
Right.
and now
And
I got
and
it all
that's
back.
and that's powerful. Never lost his faith, everyone. I mean, you heard Taylor and just the amazing in my mindset pro tips if you were from his heart. Never lose your faith. You may lose all the materialistic things on earth, but you can replace those. And then I don't have to, be a loving father for for nine children and Mario too. He's going to have a 10th one. He's got to adopt the little guy here, but because you guys don't know he's got a 7,000 square foot home now. But seriously, to be self-aware, and like he said, veterans and anyone listening and watching this episode, we all suffer from various life events, but don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And you have a choice to choose what you're going to believe. So ground your soul in Christ. And that's like Taylor said, we're not telling you to do anything, but I am a friend with you, and oh man, the amount of peace
Yeah.
spiritually when
Hmm.
you choose to ground your soul in Jesus and Christ's ways. It's undeniable. Well, I will talk to you forever, and but I'm not going to be I'm not going to imprison you on the Unarmored Talk podcast. Do you have any closing remarks, my friend, for the team?
Just reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to me any which way you can. Find me. I'm in the greater Camp Lejeune area still. I'm local. I'm in Sneeds Ferry to the close to the base. Like, if you're struggling, reach out, get help. There's people that want to help, and you don't have to stay on that trajectory. You don't have to go down that road and find yourself in a catastrophic situation, like, you know, divorce, domestic violence, alcoholism, drug abuse, any adultery, any of that. You don't have to go that route. You can stop it. And if you are in that route, you're not too low. And reach out to your friends. Easier said than done. But I'm here. I want to help. And my heart bleeds for anybody that's struggling, because we don't have to.
That is so cool, man. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll put Taylor Vogel's LinkedIn linked in the notes, and if you're listening on audio, you'll be able to see that in the show notes, and also on my YouTube channel. But until next time, all the listeners and viewers, truly appreciate your continued support, and I will continue to intentionally pray for you, the listeners and viewers, your family, and your friends. And of course, if you have some living beings, some animals, some puppies, cats, you name it, man, they're like family members, I will keep them in my prayers as well. Till next time, see you guys later.